a text that if he could come in by phone around 4.
Bubble.
So come.
Is this good news from the region or
Bubbles,
something else?
we're just going to start.
We all do.
We're going to start our workshop.
Smile.
We need you. You're a veteran.
Veteran. You don't want to be a veteran anymore?
I just got a headache.
Allergies.
Does anyone have some?
I just took some.
Oh, good. Because I have some.
Maybe it's allergies. I have an allergy though. Hey, will you get my tripod? I'm going to try to set it right here, maybe down low.
Maybe I'll go to the bathroom.
Is he one of the Maysville people?
Raylyn is.
Right there, right behind you.
Yay! Bring him in. Sorry.
We were waiting for you.
Sorry, I just texted you. Sorry.
No, we're going to start. And we're just going to start without you. And they were starting and having wonderful discussion.
Bring it right here and I'll set it down. If you guys want to bring me some water.
Okay.
No, like gallon water. Let's drop it down so it's low. So that big container right here, there's all.
First, we're going to do introductions.
And so we have the.
Yeah, I think it's
I just think of that.
Right next to me. He's right next to me.
So I'm Pat Williams.
Okay. Spinning people around.
I'm Susan Epstein from Yuba City. Oh, and I'm the rep from Yuba City for the homeless year. Whatever.
And I'm Raylyn from Marysville, known as the homeless mayor. So homeless there. Working both sides of the river, and I'm a member of PPC and with the homeless union.
Hi, I'm Brian Brown, Executive Director of the Marysville Homeless Union, Organizing Council, State of California, and active Poor People campaign member.
I'm Kyle Cooper.
That's right. It's a pretty name. Maybe I think of Bradley.
So my name is Crystal. I have my own group, Reckless Charity first, and then I have part of SHOC, Sacramento Homeless Organizing Committee. I'm part of Sacramento Tenants Union and part of the Poor People's Campaign. So, I'm an advocate.
My name is Leticia Butron, and I'm with Reckless Charity, and I do my own thing too.
Hey. My name is Nikki, and I'm with SHOC and RAP, which is Western Regional Advocacy Project. With STOPE, it's kind of in the world of kind of like statewide or regional organizing. It's a member organization, right, where groups that fight criminalization and do street outreach and work for civil rights of people who live outside are all kind of like, all these groups are part of this one group, RAP. So we have a member organization in LA, we have member organizations in Portland and Denver, all fighting for the right to rest. And so just like shout out to the Homeless Union. If y'all are interested in like RAP or any of they've just created a lot of like organizing tools over the years, and there's a lot of, and like beautiful artwork and all that stuff, and so shout out to RAP.
Shout out. Shout out, Rap.
I'm Sarah Menifee. I live in San Francisco. I do homeless movement organizing in the Bay Area. I'm a founding member of First They Came for the Homeless. I named it, my claim to fame. And we've been very active. Some of us come out of Occupy. But we just lost in federal court, not surprisingly. The judge, our protest camp, where actually a lot of disabled people live, it's their home, in the few years was raided 18 times and moved around Berkeley, and we did all kinds of, like, attend actions at city halls, and it's a long story, I'll tell you sometime. But, you know, we came from San Francisco, we did sit-lie protests there and all kinds of stuff. So you know, it's homeless-led, even though I'm kind of a retired member. I haven't been homeless for a while. Homeless self-autonomy. Nobody speaks for the homeless. People speak from their own experience. That's sort of our golden rule. And, you know, people who have nowhere to go are going to stand up and fight, and that's what's happening. And we have some of the, it's beautiful to look around and see all your faces, because this is a national thing. This is a global thing. And I'm just very pleased to be here today.
I'm Tracy, and I'm with Shock and Safe Ground and RAP, and the sister companies that come with RAP. The other advocacy groups are LA Can, Right to Rest, and Denver Out Loud.
Yeah.
Right to Survive.
Yeah.
Denver Homeless Out Loud, and Coalition on Homelessness in San Francisco.
Yes.
There's Sisters of the Road.
And Sisters of the Road.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Oregon. Yeah.
In Portland. Yeah, Right to Survive. Denver Homeless Out Loud.
Yeah, Right to Survive.
That's Deborah.
Right to Survive's in Portland, and in Denver is Denver Homeless Out Loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they be doing some good work.
Eddie Harris, I'm with Shock.
I'm Stan, I represent Big City. A member of the Poor People's Campaign and a member of the California.
Tell us about your name.
My name? Stan, that's not.
You told me before, but
Mind your camera. I take pictures too.
No S. No S the next time.
So my name is Sean Dillon, Benefit County Supervisor, District 3 of Sacramento County, which is northern unincorporated area, Carmichael, RNIK, North Highlands, and Spinoza. So with that, I'm a member of Carmichael HUD, helping to form RNIK HUDs, and just kind of here to create kid stories and people here.
My name is Robert Copeland. I belong to Shock, Sacramento Tennis Union Poor People's Campaign.
I'm Betty Rios. My name's Bubbles. I'm from Stockton Boulevard Camp. I just want to come and together.
okay, so we called this News from the Region, and we were already productively sharing what's happening in different places, but the focus is this. How are, quote, services being delivered? And how can we expose the fact that they do not include housing? And Brian and Raylyn have some really interesting insights on conflicts of interest. But the other thing is, how are we going to keep publicizing and explaining this idea that homeless people can govern themselves, they need land, and they need some basic sanitation and water, but we are because we know that they won't build housing for us ever. Because as we say, if they were gonna do it, they would have done it, right? It's like we're not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore. So we want to really publicize this idea that homeless people can govern themselves, and they need sanitation, they need water, they need kind of inexpensive things. And we don't need these elaborate shelters,
Water, a bathroom.
barracks,
We can do the rest.
boom, police. We don't need all that. So let's should we just go around?
We don't need $4,000 a head per person for a $40 million 2-year plan that I see no house at the end of it.
So that's just here. Like the first and foremost, people, like I was explaining, need to understand. Governor Newsom is California's governor. Darrell Steinberg is the head of the homeless commission. He's our mayor here in Sacramento. For those of you guys that don't know, he's the head of the homeless commission. for all of California. So these are the two people that we're dealing with up front and center, all of us sitting right here.
Who else is on that homeless commission?
We don't know. Wes came down here for the art advocacy days, and we went to Newsom's office, and we got no answers. We basically got the door shut in our face.
I called and I applied for the job for being commissioner because I think being a homeless guy, I think they should have somebody being homeless on the commission.
Amen to that.
They never even bothered to even give me a return call.
So my concern, I have a lot of concerns for one, because we are out here and we do this. He had to publicly apologize in around January because he was exposed with some photos and some footage that we had for ordering these sweeps in the middle of severe weather conditions. Like, they were legitimately severe weather conditions. We were outside putting plastic on people, trying to keep them dry and bringing food and stuff, and he got caught. So Angelique Ashbury, who's one of our council members, had come across the post on Facebook and forewarned him before the city hall meeting. That city hall meeting, the protest broke out. It was on my birthday, so my concern with him is he doesn't have any compassion for the people. Like, literally, there's people out front with Governor Newsom. She told me, which I didn't know, he's the one who came up with this sit law.
Oh, don't get me started.
Right?
Yeah.
Sit, lie,
So
sit, lie, and stand.
And yeah, another just leave.
So
town.
we just had that ordinance. Because of what happened with this extreme weather condition, he all of a sudden was like, okay, the homeless are allowed to stay the night at City Hall. That was his way of, apologizing or whatever.
Be nice.
So not even a couple months later, we get this ordinance in effect for sit lie. So now people have to move all their stuff first thing in the morning.
They really can't.
What is
they
it,
can't
between
enforce that.
6 a.m.?
6 a.m. and 9 p.m. Yep.
They gotta be
Yeah,
gone.
but since everybody has a human right to that, they can't really enforce that since the Boise, Idaho, and Martin decision. He overseen that, and that's
They do.
well.
But so here's the thing: the police, when you bring up Martin versus Boise, you guys have seen the pictures. We get faced with SWAT team. They don't care. They will tell you that they don't care. And when we are pointing this out, we have this federal law to protect our people. We don't have adequate shelter. We can prove we don't have adequate shelter. We don't even have shelter.
Well, see, it's up to them to prove that they do have the adequate shelter before they even arrest you or incite you for anything.
Yeah.
It's their responsibility. But the judge said they got to make sure that they've got connections. And they say, I got 75 people, I got 75 heads, and we got to make sure that that's all done. And the judge said that's almost impossible for him to do. So that's why he entitled that law that you can't do that because of a human right.
So in Sacramento, the police will flat out tell you they don't care about murders.
So see, that's when we have to take it one step at a time, and one cop at a time.
It's what happened here, and the other thing that they're doing is they're falsifying resources. So what I mean by that is they're like, we offered resources. So what happened with them was we did a protest, and all of a sudden it was supposed to be an eviction, a sweep, whatever. We did a protest. So all of a sudden the sheriff's department had compassion, as they say, and just ordered this resource event. Well, this resource event that came out, there's no viable resources on the other ends of these cards. So they're handing out like vouchers, or the vouchers at the end of the day, there's nowhere, people aren't taking vouchers, there's nowhere to go. Like, it's a mess.
That's what happened right where we're at. They gave out vouchers at 14 Ford. They got them and they got off the property. They go to get the apartment. They go to press get their vouchers, and they were no good. 200 of them.
No money. So what's happening? Here's an example of it. Robert knows about this too.
Section 8?
Yeah.
What do I know?
Section.
You know.
Because, Robert, isn't there a bill in the legislature to outlaw discrimination?
Senate Bill 329 by Holly Mitchell.
There we go.
She's from down in Los Angeles. I believe it cleared the Senate, so now it's got to go to the Assembly.
The thing is,
once the bill clears one section, like the Senate's got to go to the Assembly and then start the process all over again in the Assembly.
What is it? House Bill?
Senate Bill 329 by Holly Mitchell.
So what's happening with these vouchers so back in 2010, Obama gave $1.5 billion to eradicate homelessness. Okay?
How much?
$1.5 billion. Every state, with the exception of California, reduced their homelessness by 2/3. So what happened with California, they decided that they were going to do these, I call them pet projects. They're portfolios, whatever you want to call them. One of them was to take down old motels, and they were to place these people, they were to give them vouchers, and they were going to build this affordable housing. So what happened at places like Stockton, that was a motel trailer park. They came, they leveled out the lot, and they handed out vouchers.
I can move back in.
Yep.
It's still vacant.
That's what you talk about falsifying the services.
They're falsifying the services. I can hand you a piece of paper and I can hand you a card, but at the end of the day, if there's nothing on the other side of that,
What did they tell you?
And they don't think anybody does any homework to follow up on that stuff.
they don't. They think nobody does.
That's the beauty of.
Wait, we just
Bubbles, did you rent or own?
Do their homework,
We
get in
own.
trouble.
You owned a trailer park.
one
We
conversation.
owned a part of
You're
our
targeted.
trailer on that.
You owned your trailer on the property. Okay.
But did you have to pay for the property? That's all?
No, the owner of the property actually gave us each the spot, the space.
And so then what happened?
When they decided to sell, the owner had made everybody in the whole trailer court agree to it that they will move and stuff. But most of the people took the money, a high chair, some took the low chair. I was one of them who took the low chair. Thinking I'm going to be able to move back in 4 years as low income.
Okay, so let me stop her right here because
understand this.
here's the paperwork into this, and this is all public record. This has all been followed. Okay, so what they did was they funded it, and they decided that SHRA was going to get this lot. So SHRA went in and bought this. Got how they do it. They got this lot. So SHRA for you guys, that's our redevelopment agency out there. Okay, so what they did was they got this land. What the deal was, and this is in the contracts, was they were to break ground within 4 years of the original purchase. It's now been, what, 10?
It's going on 9.
Yeah, okay, so going on 9.
5 years ago.
Never
It
broke
should've been
ground.
done.
So they've already violated their own contract. The thing is, there's so many hands into this property.
So many.
It's insane. Like, we have all these different hands under SHRA that are fiddling into this.
So tell me what they told you because I'm trying to get it down.
They told me I was going to be able to move back in there in 4 years
But move back where?
in low income housing.
That they would have.
They would have built in
They
4
will
years.
have them built by 2014 and be able to move back in.
Affordable housing as far as a rental
Yeah.
tenant?
Did
So
you
then
ever
what
see that in
happened?
writing?
So then what happened? Was that in
No.
writing?
It was on the paper, the contract they were supposed to replace us in affordable housing, and I never got it.
Is there a contract that exists though like that?
So their way of dealing with it was like, okay, we've got you covered. Here's some vouchers.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, and it's not even just like motel vouchers, like housing vouchers. They're useless.
I can bring it.
So the other dinger about this is,
It's mine.
for those who don't know, it was what, 140 people
We're at
at Stockton.
no, it was 94.
Okay, so 94 people were forcefully evicted from this. We brought some protesters. We did. We were trying to protest like we did originally because we didn't feel that the resources were there. Tracy went in and asked the resource people. She went in at that first event and said, "Where's my shelter now? I want my shelter now." And
No, I said, where's me at spot now?
Yeah.
I said, we can get you in a shelter. I told them, I do not want to live in a kennel type shelter. I do not want to do that in an open barrack shelter. That is not my idea of any place I want to live at all. And then they said, well, this or that. I said, no. Do you have housing right now? She goes, you know that isn't like that. I said, you know what? I brought a guy to the executive director of Sex Steps Forward, Ryan Luthborough. And I said, dude, he's got $10,000 in his bank account and Crohn's disease. Can we house him? Ryan looked at me and said, him and 9,000 others. The man died on the streets. I'm just saying.
He actually
He
said
died.
that.
Him and 9,000 others.
So we also-
don't even tell me you got housing because I already know better. So when I came at him at the event, I already knew, and I told her that. She got so mad at me. I said, you really got nothing at the end of the day, huh?
so what I did was, the way that the railroad shelter worked was mental health priority. So
For people that aren't from Sacramento, tell them a little bit about.
okay, so the railroad shelter, that's a hot mess. Railroad shelter started out.
Pop-up kennel shelter.
Yeah, it is. It was 200 beds to begin with. In January, they reduced it to 100 mentally health priority beds. During this time, there was some turnover in the head of VOA. They came in and said we had a person there who had epilepsy, and she had a dog, and the dog was a detector of the epilepsy. They said that dog can't be here unless you put it in a kennel. So they kenneled these dogs. So there's ADA compliance issues. We brought out brand new stuff from Nordstrom Rack. They were not allowed to bring it in. They were not allowed to bring in blankets, their personal belongings. They we would serve food on the outside because they weren't being fed properly. And this is important for you guys as well, because this is the big idea right now. The big idea is we're gonna pop up all these shelters that role model Sacramento. Okay, this is what's going on here, literally. I mean, there's so much compliance issues. It's sick. The other thing that
big tent though costs $4,000 per month per head.
Yeah, per head.
Just saying, who's getting paid?
It was 4,000. No, it was 400,000 a month.
$400,000
per 100 people. That's 4,000 a month per head.
100 people.
That's like what
We could do better things.
Yeah, and this is all of California now because
getting
Steinberg's
paid?
running
Who's
this.
going home
That's what I'm saying. Governor Newsom and Steinberg are running this shit
But
show.
it wasn't a tent at the Railroad Center, was it?
It was a warehouse. It was now it's a cannabis warehouse. It was a warehouse.
Cannabis.
So what happened right after she went and did that with the resources, I walked up to the sheriff's department and said, I have somebody who wants to be placed now.
After who's she?
After Tracy.
Oh.
So I immediately walked up to an officer because I know from being out on the street and serving so many people, the only way into this shelter is through police escort. You have to be taken in by an officer. I walked up to this officer and said, this is all on video too, a couple different videos. I said, I have somebody who has a medical need who needs to go right now. And she kept reverting me back to this resource table, which you heard is nothing. So this is what we're dealing with. And the police, they have no respect for Martin versus Boise. They will tell you flat out that has no meaning. I don't know if they're finding the little stipulations in it, but the way it's read is that they can't do this without adequate shelter, and they're doing it nonstop. They just did it this morning, right here, right up the street.
And out of that railroad shelter, less than, I think it's less than 200 people
We're actually housed.
transitioned to so-called permanent.
Or permanent
We don't
supportive
think it should
housing.
be called permanent housing. We think it just should be called housing, because if it's not permanent, it's not housing.
Well, no, they have a difference between temporary and permanent. That's what the words that they use. That separates the two.
They got transitional housing, permanent, temporary housing.
We ran into this one lady that was set up with permanent housing, and they kicked her out and gave her $500 to leave this.
So that was temporary permanent housing.
So we have Tiffany sitting over here. She got some medical issues, but she has been on the streets for 5 years, and she was just placed into. So we have the two main ones. So the two main ones are Sacramento Steps Forward and Sacramento Self Help Housing. She was placed in Sacramento Self Help Housing, and so was she. And this isn't what they're cracked up to be. Let me tell you, it is. These are independent owners who are renting out these rooms. They're taking certain people like her that don't have income, but what they're doing is they're
not renting them.
No, there's some of them there. So they're one bedrooms, and they're charging, like, say him and I are a couple and we want to go. You pay $700, I pay $700. $1,400 for one bedroom.
It sounds like one of the rehab place where they got 6 people in one house. Like, you know, they charge each one of them.
Shared housing.
Yeah, shared housing.
Shared housing.
It's terrible.
It's all a lie on top of it. For one thing, they told me that I would be able to have bus passes to get back and forth. I've denied it, but she gets them. I don't.
Why is that? Or do you know?
I don't know. Tiffany tells me that she gets bus passes.
It's a different program though, baby.
Nope, it's the same program.
So here's the kicker too, is they're trying to shut down the people who have a voice. So Betty was the leader of the Stockton camp. She was getting ready to self-govern. We were working on it, and bam, they came in and did this brutal sweep. They're trying to shut down the people that have a voice. So they offered her housing, but they didn't offer somebody who's been around about the same amount of time, right, Chris?
Chris or Alicia.
So and he's got disabilities. What else is with Chris?
He gets exercise. He's handicapped and all that.
Yeah, handicapped, wheelchair. They put her in a place over him because they broke her arm.
We're having a housing.
The police broke her arm during the protest. So this is what we're dealing with, like. And I'm watching this, and I talk to Wes, and I talk to people throughout LA. I'm filtering people throughout California. They're going through it all throughout California. The same thing: the sweeps, the criminalization, the nonstop. It's just nonstop.
What do they classify as you guys being an environmental hazard?
They said that where they lived was a health hazard and that they were cleaning up. We had Patrick Kennedy who basically okayed this sweep. He thought okay, we all know how this is. His words were, I thought they were just coming to clean up. And when asked we have it all on video, when he was asked if he felt that the police have gone rogue here in Sacramento, he said, I can't answer that with doing one of these kind of things, but he said that he felt that they were heavy-handed and what happened was completely out of line. There was almost 100 people.
But he did say go ahead with the cleanup. How can you be a county board of supervisor and not know what cleanup means when you're talking about homelessness?
And so the targeting groups that are doing this here, they're putting so much money into the impact team and the homeless outreach team. Okay, so these are these specialized teams. Okay, first of all, they get paid more because they're specialized. Okay, just letting y'all know that.
Specialized in what? They've never did a homeless day in their life.
Right, okay, so they're specialized in this homeless, these teams. So they're putting all this money into this, they're even taking money from these homeless funds to fund more officers. And all these officers are doing is criminalizing. They're not offering resources because there's no resources. When you ask them,
is that the police chief?
We're being told that it's coming down from Mayor Steinberg because we had an officer approach us when we were serving food, and we conversated with him for a while, and like I said, everything's on video always. We conversated for a while, and he said orders for the sweeps were coming down from the mayor, but that's in the city, so I don't know about county.
Didn't he just build a whole new?
What's that called?
Wait, what?
What are they called?
So we have the impact team for the city, and the hot team, which is the homeless outreach team.
And that was one thing that I disagreed with. I'm African American male, and I was supposed to go to police officers to ask, can I get in a shelter? I might get shot or arrested or something.
Or your arm broken.
Yeah, that's what I do. I disagreed with that.
Yep.
Why is that a police?
Didn't Steinberg just recently build a whole new impact team too?
Yeah, the thing is they're talking to, this was just on the news, that Governor Newsom and Darrell Steinberg got together and they are building what is called the Homeless Task Force. So this is throughout California. We don't need more task force. We need help. We need resources. We need stuff.
We need permanent. We need housing skills that's affordable for all income levels.
So I want to give everybody a name here at the county level.
Hang on, Kat.
That's not
He's talking.
Oh, sorry.
So I want to give you guys all a name at the county level. His name is Nav Gill. So he's the county executive, and basically he's the one that oversees all the day-to-day operations of the county. So when there's sweeps like that, start to Wolfhard, which is in an inappropriate area, it might not necessarily be coming from the supervisor, it could be coming from his office.
Okay.
Because the supervisor will develop the policy and guidelines of the county, so to speak. But Nav is the one that implements those policies.
Is this one like the city manager?
Yeah, he's a county executive.
The city manager has a lot to do with everything.
Yeah, and he's basically the county executive, which is
the city manager equivalent.
Yeah, so he's the one that basically gets his hands dirty, does his dirty work.
He was the first one that quit in Marysville was the city manager. First one, because he had all the info.
I want to talk about our sheriff in this town. He's gone rogue.
We all know that.
He's gone rogue.
Yeah. I think that would have been a lot.
Well, let's sum this up. We've got these very expensive barrack-like shelters.
Let me give you a number real quick. They just talked about this when they decided to do this task force. We're talking about $1 billion for all of California. That's the new numbers. 40 million was for California when we were in that emergency crisis that they let go. So basically, we had an emergency crisis here. They needed to do something. They raised $40 million. They did nothing.
They've got a total of $2,356,000,000 for the homelessness crisis in the state of California.
I just painted. And I painted
$2,356,000,000.
Where are you getting that?
Scarlet.
That's coming from the state, and LA and San Diego and those guys, they have a bigger percentage of it because they have a bigger percentage of homelessness down there. But they say a lot of it's tied up in court for some reason. A lot of the $2 billion.
I know that in an area of LA, downtown LA, near the